We are live. We are live. It should be live. It better be. Guys, welcome to a new edition of Move TV. This is you think of Move TV as something like Move TV is like ITV, and there's lots of different programs on. This is a new program that we're doing. So you might have seen Graham, who's actually our producer. We'll introduce him in a sec, but he's been running Move TV. Andrea and I, who are the co-founders of Move, are going to start doing a monthly show now, which is obviously live. So we can't make any mistakes. Well, we can, but even if we do, we just got to keep going. And this is going to be to interview people like Don, who we're about to introduce, people who are at the highest level in their game, people who are performing at a high level, winning at a high level, and people who are aiming to be at a high level in new areas of life, so in business, etc. That's what today's show is all about. It's about teaching you guys who are watching, whether you're live or whether you're watching on a replay, how you can win in all areas of life. And again, if you want to be winning in business, you've got to be the best you can be physically, mentally, in your relationships, thinking about what you're giving back to local society, community, environments. You've got to think of everything as holistically for yourself and your life. We appreciate that. That's what being a good business owner is all about. And obviously, Andrea, you are a co-host of myself. And I should introduce myself for people who don't know me. I am Mark Waldron. It does say on the screen, but Andrea, you introduce yourself too.
Hi, everybody that's watching. Don, lovely to have you on. Nice to meet you virtually. My name is Andrea Edwards, and I am, Mark said, I'm the co-owner. I have a passion about ensuring we get profitable businesses through amazing people. So to be able to interview and chat to somebody who's at the top of their game, notice that's the pun there, it is a pleasure. And there's so much insightfulness we can get from bringing the sports world into business world. So further ado, Don, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Andrea. Hi, Mark. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, I'm Don Armand. So I played for Exeter Chiefs and England, and I've recently retired. Now going into the business world, learning a lot from what pretty much encapsulated what Mark said at the very beginning. And I've said founder, but I've seen in the book it says change it to director. It sounds a bit more formal of the gaming athlete, or GAS, the gaming athlete. We're trying to bring health and wellness into the gaming industry, whether you're an old gamer, a young gamer, parent of a gamer. I'm trying to develop a brand that first and foremost people want to be aligned with. And once they are aligned with the brand, they then grow themselves to be a better person, to be able to do what kind of Mark was alluding to in the beginning about, if you're a better person, you can be better for other areas of your life.
Amazing. And that's, to be fair, in that industry, and I certainly, I'm not a gamer anymore, but certainly growing up as a young lad, I love to stick Call of Duty on, or Zelda, and you could easily spend hours and hours in front of a TV where eating food, that doesn't matter anymore, and staying hydrated, that doesn't matter. And you do all these basic things that are really unhealthy to satisfy a pleasure, which is playing that game, and it's not healthy. So the fact that you've even thought of this idea to say, I love gaming, let's be healthy doing it, and think of all the ways that you can make that happen, it's a really unique business idea. So let's start from where you are now. You started this company. How long has it been going? And for people who are watching live, let's just go into what pitfalls have you had so far, business issues, what have you had to overcome, what's worked well and what's not worked well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to highlight all the pitfalls rather than the successes, because that's where we learn more. You can see the successes by following the journey if you want to. But yeah, originating back to what your question was, which was, I was trying to focus on answering the end bit, was where did it start, or where we're going with it?
Yeah, I mean, how have you ended up with that type of company thinking that's where, I've done professional rugby at the high level, at the local level, I'm now going to go into this new industry, new arena. Where did that come from?
Okay, yeah, great. So it's funny how so many things happen in lockdown. So lockdown are sitting, and I generally don't like to use this as a way to boost the story, but I think understanding the reasons why things started, because I love helping people. So 3 or 4 years ago, my missus said, if money wasn't an issue, what would you want to do? Because rugby was getting tough, and there was, you go through challenges in any walk of life. And I said, if it was my choice, I'd be working in a charity that helps people. It doesn't matter what it is. That is at my core, I want to help people. And she was like, okay, interesting. Move on to lockdown. There's stories. everyone starts to game more. I was gaming more with the guys. That's how there's positives to it. So social interactions, you do create memories, like you were saying, you put on your Call of Duty and all that kind of thing. But like anything in life, if you overdo it, that becomes, the positive turns into a negative. And so obviously you start to hear the stories, and one kid had died of a pulmonary embolism because he had blood clots in his veins and his legs because he was gaming 16 hours a day. And his dad said, he was gaming 16 hours a day because the only way he was staying connected was keeping him happy. But if I just knew about the risk of it, I would have changed it. And I was sitting there, I was like, hi, Katie. I said, compression socks, we know all about them. They're out there. It is, for me, it was obvious because of my background. So I was like, I'm going to start the business about this. And it was quite funny. I was sitting there, and that was a pre-chat with a friend that said, we're going to start a socks business and all that kind of stuff. Not a socks business, a business. And we were brainstorming. And I sat at a desk one day, and obviously we heavy into lockdown. I said, I need to start something else. And that just came. And I wrote, I didn't even know all this stuff, but I got in my book, the first 6 pages, my business book, my notebook, my golden book, whatever it is you want to call it. And it all went there in the moment of inspiration. So it was something that I called for, and it came to me in whatever form you believe and all that kind of stuff. Then that's physical health. Mental health side of things is a story about a kid that punched the screen in anger. Parents buy him a new one, punched it again. And because he didn't want to tell his parents, he committed suicide. And you're like, it really cuts me. I have 4 kids, and I never want to be in that position because no one intended for someone to get hurt in that. So how do we come in with something that is as simple as aligning with something that is right, something that gives people value, that has a big impact in a society which is worldwide, digital access, which is what gaming is. It means that I can communicate with someone across the world and I can play games with them, but that has positives and negatives to it. So that's kind of the big drivers. They're not a personal one, but they're people. Like people are not suffering. People are being part of that, and it can lead you one or two ways. And so I've had people go, you can't. There's too much. It's too big a target market. You can't do it. And I say that story of the guy that is walking on the beach, and there's millions of starfish washed up, and he's chucking the starfish back into the sea. Someone else walks on and he goes, "You're wasting your time. You can't save all the starfish." And he picks up a starfish and he throws, and he says, "I saved that one. I saved that one." So it's about understanding, and that's where I go, like belief in every individual as a person. If you make a change in one person and they can go on and make a change in another one, you then start to create a critical mass effect of everybody understanding they can help one other person. So it's a basic way of trying to say where it started from. And then we can get onto the pitfalls, but I'll give you guys a chance to speak. So
that's fine, yeah.
Can I just ask, before I ask a question, is that background noise really bad?
Not too bad, Andrew.
It's okay.
Okay. Somebody decided to drill outside the office I'm in, which isn't great. It's just started. So
we'll
I love what you have to say.
It's real life.
It is real life. And thank you for sharing that. I'm a mum of 2 boys, 21 and 25. So very much, and still, they are still gamers. Absolutely a big part of their growing up. And I was very, very negative about it as a parent until I realized that there are some positives about their attention span. Interesting how we couldn't actually do homework and recall any maths or geography, but we could recall every football player and every team. So the recall and actually the skills that people were learning was quite huge. If as parents we can embrace that. I love the fact that you want to help people. That's one of the main parts of Move, is we want to make better human beings. So the synergy here is absolutely fantastic. I'm a big believer in a ladder. And in that ladder, we should be standing on it. We should be supporting and helping people below us. And we should be putting our hand up and getting some support and help from people above us in business. Who would you be looking up to in your business now to want to get you to the next rung on the ladder?
It depends on how I approach this question. So if we talk about better humans, and Mark said in the very beginning, this one, I go back to it, is if you want to be better at those things, you've got to be better at yourself. So who would I want to be looking to get me up to the next step? Me in 5 years' time. And I've got to go, how do I want to be that? Because if I'm not looking at me in 5 years' time and I'm looking elsewhere, with the business has grown, how it has got potential in 5 years' time, can I be the person that is running this business if it goes with the potential it is? At this present moment, no, I can't. I'm very aware of that. And so I need to learn. And like I've slowed everything down. I'm not trying to focus on sales. At the moment, I'm just doing, a couple of social posts and database. I want people to know about it, know the cause, know the mission, and watch the journey. And while I do that, I focus on me, who I am. How can I understand the effect that I'm trying to have on other people? How can I learn from where other people are going wrong? How can I try and connect with as many really, really solid, sound people? And those people are coming, and it's incredible. Like I've got a lot of people that I talk to, go to coffees with and have proper conversations. And when I had the introductory with Mark, we hit it straight away because the first thing he said is about better humans. And it doesn't matter what vessel you do that in, but the more people you have running a company with that as your core value, then you know that people aren't going to be out to make a quick buck. And if they are, those people will get weeded out very quickly because you can see straight through authenticity. And so I love the thing of we need to get 1,000 businesses that aren't in Amazon, but they are a core value of better humans, at least touching 10 to 100,000. But whatever your effect is, it doesn't matter. As long as your core effect is people come, they interact with me, and when they leave my business, they are going to be in a better place or be empowered to be in a better place.
Yeah, I love that, mate. That's exactly that's the ethos for. I mean, it's the ethos for Move, but I think most business owners, especially watching this now live or on a replay, will start nodding at that, saying that's typically the idea. You come into contact with us, we exchange services, whether that's the product or service we supply, or it's a conversation, or it's some form of interaction. And when that person goes away, they're better off in some way. And if we can do that, we're literally doing pretty much what our purposes in life. We've got a passion, we turn it into a purpose, which turns into the business we do. And that's how we sort of get that out there to the world and help people to be better. By the way, guys, very quickly, we do have Graham in the background, keeping us sort of running along. Graham, if you want to pop in now, because he's got some rules. This is the first time we're doing this, remember? So even just thinking about how we're going to do this once a month and getting a flow, I was meant to introduce Graham at the very start and I never. So there you go. But Graham, introduce yourself, keeping us online right now, and you're checking out the questions. Can't hear you, Graham.
Oh, Jack, I was going so well as well. Yeah, checking out the questions. And if you have got a question, do put them in the comments on whichever platform that you're on. Put them in. I will vet those questions just in case some of them aren't appropriate. And I will then put them on the screen if they are, so that they can get asked. But I loved what Don was saying there. And, again, my own business, I called it a better way of life. I think there's a whole new generation of CEOs, business owners out there that want to do it differently from everybody else. I will disappear.
Love it. Spot on. Cheers, Graham.
Talking about doing things very differently, Mark and I had the privilege of being in an office yesterday. I'm not going to mention who it was, but they had a full-blown bar in there, and they allow their clients to come in and use their space free of charge, whether it's a hot chocolate you want or a rum and Coke, that's all fine. So we have changed boundaries about what is acceptable and what is needed. And whilst Generation X and the millenniums are causing, thank you, Mark, are causing some strife in the workplace. Actually, we do need to sit and listen to them. I do believe we need to come to a bit of a balance with where that sits. But the thing I wanted to ask you, Don, you as a professional sports person have a very different mindset coming to the business world, because I'm assuming, this is an assumption, that you had to be very rigorous about your mindset to achieve certain things. Talk to us about that, if you may, on how that was. Were you training as a child? And talk us through your life in the sports world.
I think I was slightly, my history and my story is slightly different, because my intent was never to be a professional sportsman. My intent was never to play rugby for England. I think I just was lucky enough in my upbringing to be in the moment a lot of the time. So I kind of enjoyed playing rugby. I enjoyed being around people because it's social. Then you get the right influences within rugby, and that is important in life in general. So I take that part of what I learned in rugby and put it in. Mark, I don't know if you wanted to add on to that. I don't know if you took a sharp breath there to say something.
No, as Andrew asked that, it made me think about, isn't it, like how many people go into rugby or any other sport like football, and only less than 1% of all the people that try and get to the highest level, not just for like a major rugby club, but playing for England in the respective sport. How many people don't make it, and what's the difference, certainly from a mindset point of view? Why do some people not make it, and why do some people get to the high level? What have you seen yourself? Because that would translate directly into anything that you do in life, whether it's your business.
Yeah. I mean, influence is key, because I do think a coach can make or break a player, the same way a mentor can make or break, the same way a business partner can make or break. So a lot of attention has to go into influence. And if I'd known this sooner, it wouldn't have been up to luck. Luck has it, I had some very, very, very good people. And like, say, my mom, always there. Then my wife comes into things, and they all have different personality types, traits, and aspects. And some of them don't value rugby at all, and they're important. Some of them value rugby a lot, and they're important, because it gives you different perspectives. So you want to surround yourself with as many different perspectives as possible, because then you can create a different awareness. Otherwise, you get stuck in extremes. And when you get stuck in extremes, you lose out on the other parts of things. So I think the one difference I would say is I wasn't naturally talented, but I could work hard, because I just go. And that's where I see people that make it to the top, is they don't give up. They understand, like, I hated failing. So I would do anything to avoid it, which meant that I'd work hard, because I knew if I worked hard, I'd be in a better position, that the failure wasn't due to something that was in my hands. But if you don't work hard and you fail because you haven't worked hard, then that is kind of, you go, that's my responsibility. But having that awareness too means that you can control it. So where you see people get to the top, I think the difference between someone that makes it, say, Exeter Chiefs to England versus Lions, I think that there has to be a strong support system, because there are very few people that are just naturally always going to make it to the top. There is someone in their life that they would have either forgotten about, or something in their childhood that would have helped them understand the importance of value X and consistency. For me, things that I didn't have. And I really enjoyed a good professional career, but I think it could have been better if I knew other things, but I wouldn't have learned what I did, so I wouldn't change it any other way. But what I can do is go, I learned these things, and now I'm going to business, and the business is a lot more cutthroat, because it's an individual, until you work to a bigger stage where you have a bit more money freedom, and you're not acting from a place of everything has to make sure that the business doesn't fail, because without money, you're not running a business. And that is a consistency. Having a mindset is great, but I have a big thing from rugby, which I've taken across, which is it's like a performance triangle, and it's mindset, skill set, and structure. So of those, most of us would say mindset is the most important thing. But actually, if you're doing it on mindset is very emotive based. So sometimes you wake up motivated and you can get things done. Sometimes you're just sad and you're demotivated. And if you run your business based on your mindset, it's going to act like your mindset. And so it's going to be inconsistent. And if you think all performances, people are just consistent, and sometimes they'll have great games. Very rarely will they have very poor games. Doesn't mean no one makes mistakes, but they're able to lift themselves back up and keep going. That's where structure comes in. And structures are your daily habits, your routines, and that the importance of those things to enable your mindset to grow. So those things, for me, I didn't embrace when I was in rugby, because sometimes as a sportsman, you have a very insular outlook until you have someone that challenges that. But because you're in a high performing environment, if you don't have the right people that challenge your mentality, there's no reason to change it, if that makes sense. And then you come out of rugby, and suddenly I'm like, right, I'm out of rugby, now I need to learn. And then you open up your viewpoints and like, wow, there's so much out here that I could have applied. Now I can apply that into business. And so it is about, for me, what I've done the last 3 months is I haven't focused on the business. I focused on me, focused on making me consistent. I focused on making me get out of bad habits that I knew I had, how to do it, how to understand it, so that as the business grows, I can know what's inconsistent, how to fix it, what needs to be put in place, what kind of people I want in the business to be able to make that run better, so that the business doesn't rely on me in 5 years' time to be making all of the decisions, but actually as a unit, it runs well.
Yeah, I love that. We've got a question on the screen there from Scott Whitney, who you've been on Scott's podcast, haven't you?
Yeah.
What do you find the best way to get different people on board with a vision or goal?
So we'll answer that, and also I think Katie Phoenix put in some questions before that. If I can go to those quick, just so she doesn't feel like we've missed it. Is I played back row or second row, it just depends where I was needed. And then, hi Don, I mentioned to Mark and Graham, my dad played rugby and taught Austin Healy how to play rugby. That's a great thing to have in your back pocket, Katie. Yeah. So yeah, Scott, just to get on to Scott's question, what do you find the best way to get different people on board with the vision and goal? It takes effort. A lot of what I've noticed in business is when you're trying to start it up, everyone comes with you with a predetermined package. If you do this, you will get that. And that's great, but that doesn't grow it past a certain point. It gives you a way to reach a limit, but it then sets your limit. So you can't get people on board by giving them measured things, because it lets the mindset element go, and it just tells them, if you do this, that. So it's non-emotive. It's like, just crack on, do this. If you want to get people on board with the vision, you have to learn how to tap into what they want and have what they want adapted into your vision. If you can't do that, they're never going to come on board, because if they do, whatever they're doing will be unauthentic and they will fall away later on. And then that's not part of your vision anyway. So it's about putting effort into people that you can't quantify, but knowing that if you understand who they are, what they're about, are they a family person? What are their goals in life? What do they want to achieve? Can they grow if they jump on board your vision? If they can, work with them. If they don't want to, or your vision doesn't help them grow, you have to be realistic enough to go, okay, I really like who you are. I really like where you want to be. It doesn't work hand in hand with my vision. And if I really care about you and care about myself, we have to be grown up enough to say, how else can we make this work? Or how can I help you find somewhere else to work on? Because you'll very quickly then realize that mental overwhelm, stress, all that kind of stuff is a lot harder to come by, because you have made decisions according to what aligns with you, and you have people around you that align to the same thing.
Yeah,
I hope that kind of answers.
Everything you said there is the stuff that I normally would advise someone of. It's something we're trying to do in Move as well. But I think to extend on what you said is your vision and the mission you're on has to be so clear. But then you do need to know that each individual person that you want in, sort of to buy into what you're doing, tap into what do you want in your life, what are you trying to achieve, and how is our vision or my vision or whoever it is doing it, how does what you want tap into and tie into what we're doing, and how can they be congruent together and go forward? Because then most people these days, we find, especially younger people, are very values driven, and they still want money, obviously, but they're not. People typically don't seem to be bothered about earning as much money these days, and are more bothered about being fulfilled, which is obviously mission based and mission centric and values based. So if you can tap into knowing what that is, and Andrea and I do this with our clients, we find out when people say, look, I want the team to be better, I want this team member really putting that work in, we always say, what do they want? What are they trying to get? What's important to them right now? And once we figure that out, tie that into how their performance helps them achieve what they want. Andrea, we've just decided, haven't we, recently, that everyone that comes into Move Online, our sort of business membership base, when they join up, we want to find out what are you struggling with right now in business? What are you struggling with personally? What would be success in Move? What would that look like? Because once we've documented that and we know what it is they're trying to achieve, we can adapt the whole Move structure to make sure that for that person, they achieve what they're trying to get, which might be more business coming in. But somebody else might say, I've got all the business I want. I need some support with the business systems or the leadership or the HR. And each person is different, but they still use the Move model and the Move base to get what they're trying to achieve. What do you think about that, Andrea? Any lessons yourself that you can?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing that we talk about in business is realistically new. It's about foundation stones, and it's about making things sticky, which I do all the time. Whenever things, talk about that habit, make it sticky. And if you do that, you've got a sensory, so your brain hears you, you feel it, and you actually start to change behaviors. And when we go into businesses and we just need to go right back and get the vision and mission sorted out, but we absolutely work to make sure people understand it has to be daily language, not exercise that's done to tick a box, and then goes in a file or in a file on a computer. That can't be the way. Everything we talk about has to be intrinsic to that business. Otherwise, we failed, really. I'm just going to change the subject slightly. One of my superpowers is being observant, and that's what I do when I walk into a room. Got to ask, what's the mask on the wall behind you?
So I actually have a mannequin that I've just shifted off camera, because I stream every Tuesday night and Thursday night, and I've got a mannequin that I change clothing and whatever, and he becomes a character. He's part of the thing I do, because that stream is the long-term goal of that is to be a marketing tool or a platform where people can reach the founder of a brand. And if I want people to get value, I don't go just buy the clothes and move on. I go, if you want to buy the clothes or the equipment or get on board and you don't know what, you don't want to email, I don't want you to have to work on a text base. Only come onto the stream and you can talk. So Jarvis is his name, and he'll be the model with new clothes and everything. But you have to just have some background stuff as a streaming thing to make it entertaining, to get people to enjoy, and it almost just gives a way of seeing a bit more about the streamer.
How did Jarvis not make it onto the screen today then?
Well, you never know. You have to be aware of your audience. So I want him to, but I also understand, like I know that Move and the kind of clients who are bringing on board and the people that we want to be looking and interacting here, I need to be appropriate for them. And it's not about changing what I am about, but it is understanding that if you want to connect with people, you have to understand what they're about. And I want real conversation. I want questions that are asking deeper things, because that's what type of audience we want here. If I have Jarvis in the background, it's entertainment. It's make people enjoy what they're about, so they come here as a safe space. And once they're there, they can ask us questions. So it is just about being aware, as you say, observant, about having the people that are in the audience with the appropriate background and auxiliary things that are there to make them feel like they're part of it. And sometimes I get it wrong, but on the whole, it's okay. That is kind of who I am, is because in one aspect, so like Mark, what you said earlier, is you have to be a good dad, friend, parent, businessman. And sometimes you can be the same person at your core, but you have to be able to communicate differently with different people so that they find common ground. So same as if you walk into a church and you're talking to Christians versus a Muslim, you can't go in with the same thing, but you're the same person. So I'm all about finding common ground. And if I have to understand what you're about, I have to put a blank canvas or try and see that first, put myself in your place, and then create conversation.
Okay, Mark, I think we've got a question that just popped up then.
We do. It'll come back up now. But before we move on to that's made me think about the fact that, today I've got my jacket on, my blazer, the shirt, got a pair of pumps on.
It's not normally this smart, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not usually that smart. But I do pick and choose. Like, how am I going to look today when I go to the network event or we've got an evening tonight, an evening dinner. I'll leave this on. Sometimes I've got my hoodie on with a Move t-shirt, because we are, half of what we do is networking, and we're outdoors, and it's about getting outdoors. So I'm not going to wear my suit outdoors, and it's about being selective, but not being like fake or different or not yourself. The event I went to before, it was full of lots of people within the college environment, university. If I would have turned up in a hoodie, I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And while that is the real me, I could still wear this and be myself, but fit in just right. So it's about being aware of, it's like emotional intelligence and spatial awareness, and where am I going, how do I dress, how do I still represent myself in the best way, and not being fake with it and trying to pretend to be something you're not. So that's an important sort of thing that you brought up. But that question that come up then, it was saying, where about do you stream your gaming when you do it what days that you do it, in case people are interested?
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's on a platform called Twitch, which is primarily for gamers. It's an interesting platform to observe. And then I just put out Instagram announcements and things like that. But Tuesdays are my just chatting days. So it's a themed, where sometimes I'll talk about things that are important, almost like giving a talk, but we'll talk brain health, sleep, hydration, all the things that I would have learned there, have an interest in and take forward. But then sometimes it'll just be, right, guys, let's just mess around, and I'll do some, like, you can make me do challenges like press ups, and I do health challenges in there, like drinking water. And I say, if you're doing the challenge with me, let's do it. So it almost gives a different way of learning what's healthy so you can almost punish me by making me do healthy things like press ups, and I'll do 200 press ups on stream because you've told me to. But it also will talk about why press ups are important, what's a proper press up. And so that's a different way of bringing the education awareness piece in and going, we're sitting at a computer. I want to be active. What can I do? Oh, yeah, posture is important. So then they do a posture challenge. I say the most important thing in a basic level posture is that your head's getting supported by your body, not your neck. Because if it's your neck, you've developed that lump and it goes down like that. And they can make me do that for free, but they just have to watch and build up points. So yeah, and then you're like, oh yeah, posture. But eventually, if you do that every time, you habit stack it. You find yourself going, wow, my posture is bad just because I've been watching. So
yeah,
that's
interesting. It's interesting that you say you know, Twitch is obviously it's like a gamer's sort of platform, isn't it? It's an environment to go live and do what you do. Do you think there's a place for business owners to be on Twitch and maybe speak to an audience? Is that possible? Do you think that what have you learned yourself by way of, because ultimately everything you're doing there is it's marketing and it's engagement, and while like you said before, you're not trying to sell at the moment. It's more about getting the business in order, getting yourself in order, but still keeping that attention with the audience. You're still ultimately you're still marketing yourself. That's going to turn into something in the future because of that activity.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and that's why I said it's an interesting platform, because this is what worries me, and it's not just gamers, it's social media, and we can go down to social media if we want to, but it's such an interesting place because of the algorithms and the way it works. But you can go onto Twitch now and watch a lady in a bikini in a hot tub, and you don't have to verify your age, but they've got anyone that has Twitch on their phone. So if you have access to a phone and you're a child and your parent thinks you're watching a game and they go onto Twitch and they just stumble across the wrong person, the browsing page, they can go in there. There's also nothing else vetting the language. They have to say it's suitable for an adult audience if they're swearing, but it's okay, fine. There's no verification there. And that is troubling, because if you go on there as a business owner, you'll stick out like a sore thumb and no one will stay, because you're competing with every other person on there is doing as much they can to entertain people at whatever cost, because that is their business, because you can make money off Twitch through subscriptions and everything like that. So it's if you find the right person that stands for something they believe in, it's harder to find them than just watching someone that's really good at a game that is just doing it because they're good at a game. And so that is why the purpose of what I want to do is I'm going on there and I want to build a really loyal, engaged audience. It doesn't matter how small it is, but eventually that will grow, because people come on and I chat a lot to one person in particular that found us by luck, and he's just by talking to me, I've been enabled to understand a lot about him and understand what he's going through and just give him a safe space to talk. And the stuff he tells me about, I see I don't want to actually give away personal information. It's not like he might watch this and it's fine, but it's able to make a difference just by being there. And this is what we're about. And he goes, okay, well, if you're about this, let's talk. And I talk and they go, okay, that's made a difference. Thank you. But you're fighting. It's the same with social media, and the way a lot of society interacts with it is, if it's a post that has destruction, horrible, valueless pranks or things like that, they get the views. If you've got someone that is doing something that's generally good, they only have views because people are telling them, why are you putting this on here for the sake of good? Like you're doing it for ulterior motives and everything. And I've had conversation with this, and for one, everyone clicks on the bad stuff because it's a survival instinct. If it's bad, I need to watch it. If it's going to kill me, I need to know. If it's not, then fine. If it's good, it's not going to kill me, so I'll watch it later. And then they don't watch it later. So that's the battle you're fighting from an instinct point of view, is if you're trying to have a positive effect, it's harder to gain traction. But when you do, it means a lot more. So it's about knowing, don't stop. Again, like the rugby element of not stopping till you get to the top. It doesn't mean it's going to happen soon. But then the other aspect of, I lost my trail of thought there, is you're doing things that are negative clicks. So I'll do a hook point that goes, I'm helping someone else here, and then you're not genuinely helping out. People can see through that. But what I have an issue with is, if someone is genuinely doing something for good, we have now created a narrative in society where they won't tell anyone about it. So the only thing that society is now seeing is the bad, the negative, and the cheap clicks. But when you go, there's not enough good happening in the world. It's like, well, actually there is, but it's harder to find that good because the people that are doing good aren't shouting about it. And when they are, all the trolls are coming to them and telling them that they shouldn't be doing this.
They get closed down.
Yeah. So my retort is like, so it was a really good example was a lady that went to Africa and she fed a kid and she put a picture up of her feeding. Oh, sorry, my light is clicked off. Feeding the child and saying, out here in Africa, really enjoying this. And everyone was like, why are you putting this up and everything? And I had friends that we debate and they go, yeah, she shouldn't be putting it up. Why do people do this? And I said, at the end of the day, put emotions aside. That child has been fed, yes or no? Yes. Okay. So that's the good. If one other person gets inspired to go, there are starving kids in Africa, I've been looking for somebody, I'm going to do that, then one other kid is going to have a difference made because of that social media post. There's the positive to social media that needs to be used. But the problem is we haven't developed strength and character enough to go, this is what I'm doing. It's good. I don't care what you say. I'm doing it for good. Everyone else needs to see this so that you can pass on the good. Otherwise, we're creating a line of communication that is only reinforcing negative. And any good that's been done, because humans are amazing. Humans generally are. It doesn't matter who you are, you can be amazing. But we think that we can't. And the world is just full of bad people because the 5% that are on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook that are making the most noise and the negative stuff are loud. And the 95% of really good humans aren't on there because this human interaction is where it makes a difference. So
I've got two things to bring up. I've taken up Pilates. I've had a ski accident. So the best thing I've found is doing Pilates. One of the things I learned is that our head is around 5 kilos. So when you talked about that, so we can give one takeaway from the people listening today would be to understand that we have around 20 muscles that hold our neck in place. And us all being on phones, laptops, sitting at desks, driving cars, we are going to have a lifetime of problems with our vertebrae because we're basically balancing this on 7 vertebrae. So absolutely amazing thing you said there. And if we can just share that with everybody that's listening today, we could make a difference to people's futures. The second thing I want to bring up is I was in an office block yesterday and I went to the toilet and there was a lady outside and she goes, I'm just waiting to clean the men's. So I had a chat to her and I went to the toilet and I came out. I saw a bit of a laugh and joke. And then I walked down the corridor and she came after me and she went, you're the first person that's spoken to me today.
Sad, isn't it?
Because she's a cleaning attendant. Nobody bothers speaking to her. Everyone's just too busy. They're in the offices. And she said, you have made my day. I said, well, in fact, you've made my day now. Yeah. So not just online do we need to be kinder to people, but we need to be kinder to people in real life. And don't assume that when we walk past people, you don't need to give them a hello or a greet.
Indeed. And that, before we start to finish off, because we were going to keep this to like 30 to 40 minutes, got a couple of minutes till we get to the 40-minute mark, but that's the importance of seeing a business and anything that you're involved in as a network of, it's a machine, it's a load of cogs, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you own a company or you're cleaning toilets or anything in between, everyone's got a role. And believe me, if the cleaner for the toilets wasn't on site ever, everyone else would have a bit of a problem. And again, the whole company would have a problem if the CEO wasn't doing their job and the person that works behind the computer and the person that empties the bins. Like, everyone has an integral part of a business. And when you see that, you start to value everybody at every single level and know that everyone is important as the next. And that's something people need to really think about. And as you say, Andrea, when you see people, give them a smile, greet them, say hello, ask them a question.
And I mean, habit stacking, sorry, Mark, just on there's an opportunity every single day when you go shopping to greet the person that is checking through your things. And instead of just saying hi, you say, how's your day going? Ask them just something different.
You know what?
You'll see a difference.
When you ask them, they go, oh, wow, thanks for asking. And particularly if somebody phoned you up and it's a salesperson, they go, how's your day? I go, actually, how's your day? And they go, oh, wow, didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Really,
That's it. And to be fair, even just rather than saying, how's your day? Ask them a good question. Say, what's been the highlights of your day so far? Makes them really tap into. Maybe they were having a bit of a mundane day, thinking, it's a bit repetitive all day. But when you ask that question, you have to start thinking about, well, what has happened today and why is it being good? Why should I feel good about myself? Whether you're at a checkout and you've been sat there scanning food all day, or you're cleaning toilets, or you're someone sat in an office, asking those type of questions can really help someone feel better about themselves and really see the good in the day. But guys, we are at the 40-minute mark, so conscious that you're a busy guy, Don. Andrea and I are busy as well, which is that's what life's about. When we're doing the stuff we love, we never really stop, do we? So where can people get you online? Where's the best place for people to follow yourself if you want to tap into the gaming world, or just follow you as someone that they can learn from?
Thank you very much for asking. So the most immediate one is don@thegamingathlete.com, my email, but socials are don_Armand or the Gaming Athlete on Instagram. And we have the place I would love people to be to see the real effect is on our Discord platform. And you can find those links on our socials, because that's where we interact authentically. It's not selling. It's nothing like that. And in the Twitch stream, if you want to see what it's about from a distance, and those are all advertised on our socials. So you don't have to do much other than just find it on Instagram.
Right, Graham's saying there's a lot of developers who use Discord. There are business communities grown there alongside gaming channels. It's something that maybe Move has to jump onto as well. But what we'll do, I'm sure Graham will be able to do this once we've ended. This will go as a live that people can watch as a replay. The actual the body of the text on Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatever, we'll edit it so your links are in there, Don, so people can just easily click, find your Discord, find your Instagram, and so on. But it's been a really good chat, and I want to end with a fun fact before Andrea says what you're about to say. Andrea, because when we're all on screen, you just think, okay, these people are all the same size, which most of us have found out now when you meet people in real life. No, they're not. How tall are you, Andrea?
4'11".
I'm 5'10", maybe 5'11" on a good day if I have the right shoes on. How tall are you, Don?
6'3" or 6'4", around there, 192 centimeters.
That's it. We'd be like the three amigos if we ever met up in person, which one day we will. So
yes,
everyone, keep an eye on that, because one day there'll be a picture with us three, and hopefully we'll have to stand back enough to see Andrea there and not cut that out the picture. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, Don. Appreciate your time coming on.
I want to ask Don one last thing. If we could do one thing to support and encourage others to help you with your business and your endeavors, what would that be?
Get part of the journey. That's it, because it's a big vision and it's a long time to grow. And the earlier you come on, the more you get to see how the changes develop and the more satisfying it becomes. So it's effortless. It doesn't take money. I'm not after any desperate money decisions. I'm after value. So the more people I have, the more time I get to look at the value that's being added, and the more decisions I can make according to that. That would be my biggest ask, is just creating awareness, but more having people that want to be there because it makes a difference to them, and helping the other people that are in there waiting to see how it makes a difference. Because when it's one person or a few, it's great. But when you have a lot of people buying into it, you create that social psychology that they actually want to be part of, and you help people be better just by being better yourself. So
yeah, pleasure having you on. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thanks very much for having me. I've really enjoyed
what I'm going to finish. Sorry, what I'm going to finish with is, obviously, Don, I know at some point you're going to come onto one of our Move Online meetings to check out the business community and how everyone helps each other. Anyone that's watching this on the live now or as a replay in the future, by all means, get yourself booked onto Move Online, interact with myself and Angie and people like Don, and business owners who are at startup level, turning over millions of pound level, everything in between. Get networking of a weekend. If you're in Merseyside, Liverpool, Wirral, we do Sefton Park and West Kirby. And obviously, if you're an elite business owner, you're turning over hundreds of thousands or millions, we have a Move Elite mastermind community for those business owners that really want to tap into, problem solving, looking at other business owners who've got the same type of problems as them, and a really helpful community that gets you from struggling to taking control of your business. And that's what we focus on these days. A big part of what we're creating is a network and a community of business owners at every level. And obviously we'll be looking forward to trying in some way working with yourself, Don, and getting you involved in what we're doing, supporting you. And I'm sure in some way you'll be able to support us as well. So been a really good chat.
Thanks very much.
But yeah, for everyone that, we appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're live, if you're watching on replay, let us know what you thought, and we'll see you soon. See you in a month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.